All right, and thank you all again for returning for one last discussion. We left the table last time talking about some of where the legal issue is going to go and process for the people who were arrested at the Student Union building. Ahmad, we know that next week there's going to be an arraignment. We know that the UNM Police Department are the ones investigating this case, while state police were the riot police that arrived. They were acting in assistance with the UNM police. Sure. The UNM police will complete their investigation. What happens next?
So at arraignment, the enter pleas of not guilty, and then there is going to be officer prosecution. They're going to be prosecuted by officers. These are, the DAs will not get involved.
UNM police officers?
Yes, it will be UNM police officers, and possibly with the assistance of state police, depending on their role here, they may be witnesses as well. So bottom line is the DA's office essentially will not be prosecuting these misdemeanor cases.
Okay.
And what will happen is a decision to proceed forward with prosecutions will be made. And ultimately, I think that's a call for UNM through dictating their position to UNMPD as to what the future of this prosecution is going to look like. Are they willing to dismiss these cases? Are they going to work out arrangements to allow for these students to plead to lower charges or maybe some form of disposition that will not be on their record? These are things that will come about after the investigation in the course of the natural lifeline of the case.
Well, thank you for helping us understand what we could expect next in that process. I always like to bring this back about why we were here, why the people even put themselves in that position to be arrested, and why they're doing this. And it's back to divestment. They found a way to do something to impact a national, international incident and a genocide actively happening, to find a local way to affect that change. And there's history with UNM divesting. Ernesto, can you describe what that history is a little bit?
Yeah, indeed. You know, the University of New Mexico committed to a full divestment from apartheid South Africa in 1985. This was a process that was supported by the UNM president at the time, Tom Ferrer, who was a human rights attorney and who had served on the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. He basically, you know, proposed a standard that might be incorporated into a university investment policy. And what he suggested is for the university to ask itself, you know, do our investments foster violations of fundamental human rights or violations of international law? And also, do our investments support regimes that practice apartheid or commit genocide? These are things that we should be considering and weighing when we make decisions about investment. And I'll just say one thing about this. The administration of the university has been messaging students in the encampment that they don't have the authority to affect divestment. And I want to just emphasize how shocking this is to assert. You know, the Board of Regents by the New Mexico Constitution have the authority to control and manage the University of New Mexico. If, in fact, they do not have currently control of UNM's finances, everyone needs to know about that. That is really quite incredible.
And I think it's important to note that the Board of Regents are picked by a governor's administration and approved in part by the legislature. So they are also there in part for the taxpayers in New Mexico. I think that's a very important element to understand. Like, those are people directly that should be held accountable. Is that how y'all view it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, one thing that I want to emphasize here is that, you know, the divestment from apartheid South Africa was really a demonstration of true leadership at the university. Again, this was a process that was kind of initiated by the president at the time, but with the support of a coalition of both student and community organizations, the Black Student Union, the Associated Students at UNM, the New Mexico Rainbow Coalition, were all involved. Actually, the governor of New Mexico at the time, Tom Anaya, was supportive of divestment as well. They attempted to have the state divest and failed in doing so. But you know, we need this kind of leadership right now. We need this kind of leadership to be willing to investigate, you know, what our financial relations are to a state that has been declared to be practicing apartheid by Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and that the international Court of Justice has determined is plausibly engaged in a genocide. This is serious stuff that we need to, as a university community, commit to investigating the extent to which we have financial connections with these crimes, and to contemplate and to consider divestment.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Now, Paloma, I want to go to you because you're attached to another level of history in all of this in journalism. And I think it's fascinating to first understand that your mother was a broadcast journalist and in fact had covered occupation of a UNM student building. This was in the 80s, right? So you have that background. Your sister is there with you. So now there's 3 journalists in your household. But you're also studying finals. You're a student at UNM. Why was it important for you to cover this every day and as you have, while you have the obligations of a student? Why was it important for you to be there?
Well, my sister and I intended to go shoot video, and then Ella was going to take pictures. Ella's my other reporter at the Daily Lobo, and the 3 of us were going to take pictures, but then we ended up spending a lot of time there and just got tasked with reporting it as well. And then that's why we felt obligated, because we were there from the start, and the 3 of us wanted to stay there into the night as well and come back every day.
Do you have any experience covering protests or interacting with police in the way that you have over the past couple weeks?
No, this is all a new experience.
So what are you at the Lobo doing together? And maybe this is something your mom is offering advice now on. What are you doing to sort of navigate how to cover this while managing, you know, the emotions and feelings that come forward with it, and also being a student?
At the time, we were in transition of editor-in-chief, so the incoming and outgoing editor-in-chief were really supportive. Lily and Maddie, they had good conversations with us and even gave us riot gear if we needed it.
Okay.
And they were really supportive in making sure that our mental health is the top priority, and said if you don't want to cover this, you don't have to. So, but we did it, and it was a group effort.
Your twin sister took this photo,
yes.
Right? And this is in the middle of kind of all the chaos when state police arrived. When you saw her step up as close as she could to get to that place, what are you thinking in your head?
I was scared for her, because she took that picture, but she also took video, and she had the camera right in their faces. And I came up to her, I was like, be mindful of the fact that they have batons and they could charge at any moment. But she got right in their shoes and in front of the protesters, and I was just like, wow.
And there was you also do editing on multimedia work, so you also edit and package all the video that you review after everything had happened and occurred. And watching that video, did you notice or did you experience any instances where police might have stopped you and prevented you from doing your job?
Yes, I feel like we did. I was kind of shouting at Layla to record a certain instance of 3 cops tackling 1 student.
Okay. And
in that moment, a cop ran to me and kind of grabbed my arm and said, "Out the door." And you can hear his voice in the video. He pulled me out the door, and then he did the same thing with my sister Layla. While she was recording, he grabbed her by the backpack and kind of just pushed us out the door. And they were making a lot of people go out the door, but this is also right in the middle of us recording a big moment. So, I mean.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Ahmad. This is the first time you're hearing this. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on their account?
I have to tell you, first, I'm very inspired by Paloma and Elena. Thank you for what you do. Second, it's a scary.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Yes. So it's a scary prospect to relive through their eyes the fear of being a student and having to face the extraordinary, heavy-handed approach by law enforcement on a UNM campus, a campus that should be free from the forcible silencing of freedom of expression. It is an extremely touching, if you will, in some respect, narrative about the view from this side. And I think it'd be very important for UNM, President Stokes, and the university, faculty, administration to hear out this particular experience and understand what chaos has been brought about at the university, instead of an approach that involved de-escalation and allowing for freedom of speech, protecting it, and putting in measures for a more conducive, productive, positive area of sharing knowledge, as Ernesto talked about historically, for example, when divestment of apartheid South Africa was in place. And the administration was part of the inspiration movement in that regard. So
he even mentioned the governor at the time, the state of New Mexico,
correct.
was involved. And so, yeah, there's history here. Now, we're getting close to wrapping all this conversation up, and clearly we're going to continue all of this. But I really also want to understand sort of how we're viewing this, why we're here. There's all kinds of manners of horrors happening in the world, happening outside of our homes in New Mexico right now. So, like, why, within this group of people that you're all working with in different spaces, this generation, why are we choosing this issue right now to take on the risks of following it and covering it? And I think first, Ernesto, I want to ask you this question. Why?
Well, genocide concerns all of humanity, really. You know, Raphael Lemkin, who coined the term genocide and campaign for the establishment of the Genocide Convention, referred to genocide as the crime of all crimes. In December, the International Court of Justice found it plausible that Israel was committing acts in Gaza that violate the Genocide Convention. Francesca Albanese, the special rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territories, concluded that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the threshold indicating Israel's commission of genocide has been met. And in a recent federal case regarding U.S. complicity in Israel's genocide, the U.S. District Judge Jeffrey White stated, quote, "As the ICJ has found, it is plausible that Israel's conduct in Gaza amounts to genocide. It's now every individual's obligation to confront the current siege in Gaza." So, in other words, all of humanity, including New Mexicans, have a moral obligation to stand up and speak out against genocide, and specifically our government's complicity in that genocide. The U.S. government has funded and financed this genocide through billions of dollars of aid by providing diplomatic cover in the UN Security Council, for a period of time, defunding relief agencies in Gaza. We're directly implicated at the moment in these crimes, and it's all of our responsibilities to stand up and to speak out against genocide.
Thank you for sharing that. Paloma, you answered this a little bit earlier, but I'm curious, from what you're hearing in your reporting from students, from people at the camp, why are people taking the risk to participate in this?
Well, a conversation that we had at the sub was like exchanging, are you scared tonight? Like, are you scared of getting arrested? And a lot of people told us that this is a issue that is bigger than themselves at this point, and they're willing to risk legal repercussions. They said, I mean, kids are being bombed in Gaza, and I'll face academic or legal repercussions. I can fix that. This is a bigger issue, and so that's why we're willing to be out here. And that's what a lot of students told us that night when we talked to them, and Ella asked them that question, like, why are you here willing to risk? Especially at this hour, and like it's a scary environment, but that was an answer from a lot of people.
Okay. Ahmad, we got 90 seconds. From your viewpoint as a citizen of New Mexico, as a taxpayer, not from a legal perspective, I'm curious, why are you paying attention to this?
Well, I want to comment on the generation that that are inspiring.
Sure.
I think social media has a lot to do with showcasing atrocities around the world, where we didn't have that in our generation. We had a narrative that was dictated by the media that was essentially had one particular narrative. Mm-hmm. And now this generation has seen the atrocities firsthand. They know the political narrative. They're smarter than those that are espousing hate. They are truly after justice for all people, whether that happens to be in Gaza or anywhere else in the world. And I think as a New Mexican, especially, we are a state that has a very warm and inspiring community, from the Native American communities, the Hispanic communities, those communities that have always sought justice and may have faced injustice in their own way historically, want to come to the table and fight for justice everywhere. And I applaud this generation. They have put Palestine back on the map, and they are speaking the truth because they see it, because social media has allowed for that to happen.
Excellent. Well, I really do appreciate all the conversation that we have here, and while we have to stop here, we know that this is going to be ongoing. We're going to be following this as it develops internationally with how the United States and Israel, when and if they stop their ceasefire. But at the same time here too, we're going to be tracking all of this locally. There's a lot of work that's going to be happening on this front. Paloma's going to be doing a lot of work on that, and we're going to see where that goes. So it'll be an interesting year as we track the rest of this. Thank you all for this, and thank you all for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you.